Hello, everyone. As everyone is participating to the webinar, we will wait for a minute or so, and then we will kickstart today's lovely agenda. I will have Alex Moore also joining me, and he will be sharing his personal experience around AI, and he will be sharing practical tools. My name is Cihan Özelevli, and I am one of the co-founders of Divine Science and Robotics. I am working with content and product development teams, and our main vision is to cultivate double-winged generations. And before starting to our webinar, maybe I can share some brief information about Divine Science. So education is all about preparing children for the future. And of course, our main aim is to prepare children for the future. And future, how does it look like? When we ask this question to teachers in the UK, Foundation for Education Development did that actually. It is one of the largest surveys conducted with teachers. Three actually key challenges seems like future of workforce, artificial intelligence, and how it will change the life we will experience as human beings, and climate change, the problems that it will bring. So in order to make children future ready, we developed an approach called STEAM for sustainability. So at one wing, we have the competence in science, technology, engineering, math, and art. And at the other wing, we have sustainable development goals of United Nations. So United Nations brought these 17 goals under one umbrella to have a more sustainable life. And it starts with no poverty, countries with zero hunger, good health and well-being. But we have problems like clean water and sanitation. We have problems like responsible consumption and production. So the problems that matter to most of the world are listed under this. So what we do is we develop children's STEAM skills, and we challenge them in a playful way to develop solutions related to sustainability. And we are doing this with digital and physical products that we are developing for children and teachers. So before welcoming Alex, I want to actually show you how you can log in to our educator portal. And as participants of today's webinar, you will have 3-month access, 3-month free access to our educator portal. My friends are sharing a link from chat now, and you can click to that link. I'm gonna do the same, and I'm gonna share my screen as I do it. So let me share my screen, and I will walk you through. And once you click to that link, Twin Educator portal will welcome you with a welcome page, and you will click to sign up now. And you can write your email address here, or you can choose to log in with Google, Facebook, or Apple accounts. And once you log in, our educator portal will welcome you. So since I already have an account, I will share my screen again and open the educator portal. So why this portal is important? Because you will be able to have the recording of this webinar session after this completed, we will upload the recording here, and you will be able to reach. And Alex and I will be sharing prompts that will make your life easier. Actually, how to talk to AI, how to talk to ChatGPT to get ready for the lesson, how you can save time. And the certificate of this webinar will be available here after the webinar session as well. So you can log in and you can get those resources afterwards. And we have a library. This library is called STEM for Sustainability Library. And at the end of the session, I will show a couple of examples from here on how you can teach AI to children, right? So we will be learning about practical tools in today's session. But afterwards, what are the safe ways to teach AI to children? I will show one example from our Introduction to AI curriculum. And another thing is AI Planner. So like we have developed this AI Planner beta version, and we will also actually test this with you. And I will ask you about content ideas, and I will ask Twin AI Planner to generate me a lesson plan, some questions for assessments and activities. So we will be testing our AI Planner at the end of our session. So this was a quick, actually, introduction to what Twin does and how. And now I want to welcome Alex Moore. So we have met with Alex about a year ago. Welcome, Alex. And I was impressed by his agility on using technology for classroom usage. And he's a Trust CPD and pedagogical learning leads at Sherborne Area Schools Trust. And he works with a strategic team to design and deliver high quality professional development for 850 staff in 19 schools. And I was in one of the classrooms that he designed, called Future Classroom. And when we invited, he accepted. And Alex, thank you for your participation. And we are looking forward to hearing from your own experience and what kind of relationship you have with technology. The Future Classroom, I know you will be sharing some information about that as well, but thanks for participating, and I am going to give the floor to you. Welcome again.
Thanks, and hi everyone. Good evening or good day, wherever you happen to join us from the world. My name is Alex. Thanks for the warm welcome from the team from Twin. And I've been working with these guys for about a year on various projects, some of which I'm going to share today in the context of educational technology and specifically AI. So if you're joining this call in about 10 minutes, we're going to get to some prompts to save workload and to make your life easier and to help the children learn better in your classrooms from some of the tried and tested stuff that really does work. And before that, I thought I'd just give you a bit of context about some of the research that I've done, and I'll kind of tell you the story of the Future Classroom. So the intro kind of set the scene. I am a teacher. I'm in the classroom 3 days a week in front of children. I teach science and I teach computing, mostly to children aged between 11 and 14 years of age, although I do also teach on GCSE and A-level, which is sort of 16 and 18 in the UK. So I've been an educator for 22 years, and my week is split into two domains, if you like. So 2 days a week, I look after professional development, doing things like this for 850 staff across primary and secondary schools, which is a pretty wide remit. And then the other 3 days a week, I'm a teacher and an assistant head teacher, senior leader in a school. And over and above that, I'm doing my PhD, and I'm doing it in AI specifically. So I've got a really vested interest in educational technology and in artificial intelligence, and have done for some time. I often get asked kind of what my research is about. I guess in a sentence, it sits at the intersection of technology, social injustice, and student voice. I'm really interested in bridging the digital divide that exists where poverty kind of is an outlier and it makes children not get access to technology. I'm really passionate about getting rid of those barriers. And I'll speak about that today because I think AI is a really good opportunity to level that playing field. And I want to kind of talk just more generally about where we are with AI at the moment, because there's a lot of hype around this new technology. And I think it's quick for us as educators to remember this isn't the first technology where there's been a lot of hype. It's certainly the latest one. And when it comes to epistemology and knowledge in the field, it's quite embryonic, it's quite new, it doesn't really exist yet. So in that way, I kind of call AI a concept in the wild. This is not my phrase. It's from a guy called Ergo Estrom, and he used it to describe concepts in the wild. So just ponder that for a minute. What does that mean? Well, it means it's territory where there isn't really a map for yet. There's lots of ideas. There's lots of people that I call hype agents who are jumping up and down on stage saying AI is going to change the world and it's going to revolutionize and get rid of teachers and all this crazy stuff. But actually, what does the truth say? You know, what does the research say? What do the children say? And that's what I'm really fascinated with. And I'm going to share some insights in a moment on that. And we tend to think of technology in terms of what it gives, but also what it takes away. And that's quite a profound thought. But if you just ponder that for a minute, what does technology give you from your day to day? But also, what does it take away from you? And the conversation in the media now is more about the second point. What is it starting to take away from us? And there's this narrative about jobs, automation, and you'll know this well. And it's quite there's a lot of hyperbole, a lot of exaggeration around it at the moment. And we're just going to cut through that noise today and talk a little bit about the sense. So following that idea all the way through, as educators, we stand in front of children every day. It's a huge responsibility, and we tell them truths about the world. We tell them things that we know about the world. We tell them certainties and epistemologies, and we pass that on as knowledge. So there's a dialogue out there between what people believe about AI and the actual reality of what is actually happening. And the reality is that in the UK, there's about 17% of schools using AI on a regular basis. And when I say regular, I mean daily. So that is not as big as you might be led to believe. And it's actually a lot more prevalent in higher education, in university education, than it is in primary and secondary education. So that's where we are at the moment in the United Kingdom. Now, there's a fascinating piece of research that's been done, or just about to be done actually, by the Education Endowment Fund. And with the Education Endowment Fund, they tend to commission research that's done through schools. And there's a new pilot that will pop in the chat now, guys. Are you right to pop that one in the chat? That kind of explains exactly what I'm about to talk about, because it's quite a new field. So I will share my screen. Can one of you guys give me the heads up that you can see what I can see? Are my windows
Yes,
popping?
yes, Alex, we can see you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so one of the really big bits of research is going to come from this trial here. And I've signed up to this, so my school is going to be part of this. And it asks very specifically what can using ChatGPT for lesson planning cut teacher workload. So it's a really important piece of work. This is due to take place in the summer term and be published around about September when schools go back. And there's a link to that in the chat. I would encourage you just to have a look. It's too late to sign up for, but it's really interesting in terms of what research this is going to kind of point us towards. And one of the things I'll try and get through to everyone today, I guess, is that there is some really reliable sources of artificial intelligence research out there. So, for example, this document here, the Institute for Ethical AI, will also pop this in the chat. This is the ethical framework written for artificial intelligence. Now, this was written in 2018, and to me, it's still the best piece of work out there in terms of giving you kind of a concrete blueprint. It was written by Anthony Seldon, Priya Lakhani, and Rose Luckin. And if you haven't read Rose Luckin's book yet, which is this one, it's absolutely incredible. And it's just full of truth. It's full of good, reliable data that is worth you chasing into. So that's kind of a little bit of background on me and where I'm at. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start sharing a story about the Future Classroom, which is a space that we use in our school. So give me 2 secs. I'll just tee that up. Okay. So Future Classroom I built during the pandemic, and I wanted to build a space where technology could meet the teacher, not replace them. That was really key. I wanted the two to be almost symbiotic. I wanted to create a place where children could be owners of brilliant knowledge, not just consumers of it. And I wanted to create a space where knowledge and skills could coexist as one entity rather than this idea that they compete. So what we did is we kind of looked at our interests in the school, and we said, well, we're interested in sustainability. We're interested in STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, art, and maths. And this was way before artificial intelligence like ChatGPT and Bard was a thing. So this is sort of going back 4 or 5 years. So we created this incredible space, which looks like this. And you'll notice when you look at it, there are no desks. And that is entirely intentional because we wanted to disrupt the education model and do something a little bit different. So the kids move around this space and the technology moves with them. So to give you some sort of context, they work in teams and they solve problems through science, technology, engineering, art, and maths. Things like knife crime, pollution, climate change, litter, overpopulation, space debris, all these wonderful ideas that we can stitch into the curriculum. And it's become very, very popular as a space. And you can see the sorts of technologies that we use in this space. So we do a lot of virtual reality, which is a fairly kind of new form of technology in schools. Not many schools have it. It's kind of a frontier technology, I would call it. And we go in the metaverse, which is a really interesting thing. If you've not done that, taking a class into the metaverse is pretty terrifying. You have all these little digital avatars following you around, looking at stuff. So that's pretty good fun. So we do a lot of virtual reality. We do a lot of oracy. So we get the children to speak. And if I just flash back to this picture here, we've got a soft throwable microphone that we throw through, and they can pick it up and it can amplify voices through a PA system. So really powerful technology. We have loads of smart screens. And the crazy thing, you might be looking at this going, oh, this is loads of money, but we didn't pay anything for this. This was completely funded by industry. And all that happens is we give them user feedback in exchange for using their technologies. And if you work in a school, I'd encourage you to adopt this model because it's cheap and it's reliable. And the impact has been huge. We always talk about impact in education, and we've impacted 16,000 children in 14 different countries. And the project's been so popular, we now have a future classroom in Ghana, in Accra. You can see them just here. And they've got everything that we've got. So they've got virtual reality, they've got catch boxes, they've got hydroponics, they've got aquaponics. And we meet them once a week at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. And we buzz in via Zoom. And we join them live to learn together. So the students in my school learn with the children in Ghana because there's only an hour's time difference. And we talk about artificial intelligence. We talk about technology. And these projects won us one of the top global innovation awards from 100.org. So we're one of the sort of Classroom of the Future was an innovation prize, which is really exciting. And you can kind of see the power of this technology in these pictures. It's kind of transcending boundaries and timelines. And a lot of what we do involves artificial intelligence before artificial intelligence was mainstream. So to give you some sort of context here, this is an aquaponics project. On the left, we've got fish. You can't quite see them, but they're fish. And the fish waste grows coriander leaves, or cilantro, you guys might call it, on the left-hand side. Then on the right-hand side, we've got a Raspberry Pi that the kids coded to control variables like water flow, nutrient solution, fish food, temperature, photosynthesis, light. And we race nature versus the machine. And the machine won. It beat nature because you can control the variables. And that idea of sustainability led us to sort of working with Twin Science. And one of the most impactful projects that we've done with these guys is these are robotics kits, just like you see anywhere. But the difference is the children are doing sustainable challenges. So they build electric cars, they build solar farms. So you've got that sustainability element stitched in with the coding. And as you can see from that picture, we are particularly targeting girls in primary schools because we know that they don't get access to great quality coding. So this kind of gives you a bit of a backstory of the technologies we use, like digital light boards. And if you've got a technology that you think is worth sharing, I'm going to give this a plug. Go on to 100.org and submit it as a global innovation. And you could really open up your world in terms of connecting to educators. So that segues nicely into my interest personally in artificial intelligence. And this started about 4 years ago. And I started to work on my Viva, which if you've done a PhD, you'll know that's the big 50,000 word beast at the end. And this is my question. To what extent will artificial intelligence transform the texture of learning in the secondary school classroom? And all this stuff I was doing before with technology, all this stuff I've shown you, that was transforming the texture. What does it look and feel like to the children? So in my particular research, I did something that had never been done before. I took a small group of children, 16 in total, which is quite small. And I did a mixed methods approach. It's pre-Viva, so it's the thing that I do before my big Viva. And I wanted to illuminate the voice of the children. What do they really think and feel about artificial intelligence? Okay. And I did it through a series of interviews, and then I thematically analyzed the data, searching for codes. Before we get into that, I think it's really worth you all knowing, if you don't already, that there's some big controversies around AI. One of it is a lot of the data is flawed because it's either written by companies that have technology and want you to buy their technology, so they skew the data, or the research methods are a bit questionable in some cases, the sample sizes. Often it's got a very narrow educational focus, so it's quite difficult to learn from higher educational papers in a secondary or primary school setting. And there's also funding issues because it's linked to that top point about it being flawed data. Quite often the people that are funding the research have a vested interest in the outcomes. So reliability is a question. So I actually work with real children. There they are. You can see the before and after, and obviously they're totally transformed. You can see their faces afterwards, and it's like a totally different experience for them. And what I did is I used thematic analysis, which is a method by Braun and Clark, and I categorized all the transcripts from the interviews, looking for codes and themes, which is a really big piece of work. I'll show you what that looks like. So here's one of the many scripts, and you color code all the different responses to what children think. And one of the fascinating things about artificial intelligence, because that's what we're talking about, is kind of their opinion. And they said some absolutely fascinating things that we as adults probably wouldn't dream of saying. Like, they feel more like a person than a robot, so it feels rude to call them an it, one child said. They call, I love the fact that they're always referring to artificial intelligence as they. And when I was interviewing them, I didn't notice it until I thematically analyzed the codes. And what you do is you do this, that you extract codes and reoccurring words that essentially map into eventual themes. And those themes were this. So the 8 themes that emerged from that paper where children think that identity is really important when it comes to AI, and they also have a degree of acceptance to it. They don't see it as other than human, which is fascinating. They think the teacher is unique. And one of the funny things that the kids said is, like, if you put an AI teacher, like a robot teacher, we would just throw stuff at it because it wouldn't be able to tell us off and we wouldn't get in trouble. And they didn't like the idea of having an AI teacher. They much preferred a human teacher, even if the human teacher was really bad, which I thought was really funny as well. And this, I think, is a beautiful theme to say that actually, the more we become reliable on artificial intelligence, the better we need to get at being human. And what does it mean to be human? What are our unique human traits? And one of the things one of the kids said is, if my dog died and I walked into the classroom, you as the teacher would know that I'm upset, and you'd be able to read my body language and you'd be kind to me. Whereas an AI would just tell me to sit down and get on with my work. And it's those kind of insights that children kind of think about AI that perhaps sometimes we overlook. They kind of have this inevitable, the tech is coming, let's just embrace it. They don't seem too stressed about it. They certainly don't think it's going to take over their jobs, like the media seem to think so. And they think it might be quite useful, but they don't really know how it might be useful. So that gives you kind of a bit of a context about my research. If you're interested, I'll get the guys to put this link to my Substack into the chat, and you can read directly about the project I was just referring to. And I was asking the question, is AI a benevolent genie? So hopefully that gives a little bit of context kind of about my research and why it kind of segues into using AI for prompts. And what we're going to do now is we're going to actually have some fun for about 10-12 minutes playing around with some prompts to show you how you as a teacher, as an educator, can really get this technology to do some work for you. And this has become a daily part of my life, okay? It's really, really important. So it's all about offsetting the doing, not the thinking. People have been saying that for decades. And what a prompt is, it's a piece of text, a few words that you can put into a chatbot, whether it's ChatGPT version 3.5, which is free and the most popular by OpenAI, or if you've got a Microsoft account, you might be using Bing's Copilot. Copilot is slightly better. It runs off version 4 of ChatGPT, and obviously Microsoft acquired OpenAI, so they are kind of one and all at the moment. And this technology is changing all the time, but these for me tend to be the 2 most reliable ones. So you'll see this prompt here that in bold we've got the actual prompt. So that's what we're telling the AI to do. Then we give it a bit of context by saying our role. Then we give it explicit instructions, and then we give it parameters. And the more we feed it, the better the outcomes. And you need to play around this and get used to it. So I've created a little script of prompts that I use all the time. Here they are. And I'm just going to chuck some into the thing and do this in live time. If you've got this up with you, if you've got any sort of chatbot open now, just play along with us, and you can have a little play and see this working for yourself. So let's move that out of the way. Right, let's chuck the prompt in even. Okay, so we're going to do it about photosynthesis today, I think. So photosynthesis. It doesn't even matter if you spell it wrong either, it'll decode it. I'm a what grade teacher? So I am a biology teacher today. That's what I'm going to do in this particular experience. And I teach kids between 11, actually, let's just say 12 as a mean average. I specialize in science. It's important that you give it these parameters, otherwise it will chuck up a load of rubbish. Explicit instructions, right? Let's say 10 questions. Let's write 10 questions for 3 lessons. So then I've got 30 questions worth of content. So that keeps me going for a few days. Parameters, write them for a reading age, right? This is really good. So what you want to do is let's go from 10 to 14, because you tend to get a lot of difference in the classroom. And you run it and it will do it for you. Okay, so it'll break it down into different lessons, which is pretty useful. And you can just copy and paste that into a slideshow or a document. And then what you can do is I actually put in the prompt to give it the answers as well. So it'll do all of that for you. And it comes with a bit of warning. Check it, make sure it's decent, because sometimes it comes up with stuff like this, which is way, way too complicated for a 12-year-old child, unless they're a child genius. But yeah, it's worth a lot of this stuff is pretty good. Like plants are producing glucose, they need to know that. They take carbon dioxide from the air, they definitely need to know that. So there's quite a lot of stuff here that's really important, but you can kind of pick and choose. But in terms of time, that was just so rapid, wasn't it? In terms of how quickly we kind of got through that. So that's one of the prompts I use a lot, and it's called retrieval questions, which is really topical in education. I also do it with multiple choice. So just to be clear what that is, so I know there might be a language differential. Multiple choice is when you do like 4 options. So I love using this. I use this all the time. So create me a set of 5 multiple choice questions about Henry VIII. Henry VIII. You are a teacher, and you're a history teacher if you're teaching about Henry VIII, at least you are in the UK. So history teacher, and I'm teaching kids today. Let's teach them a little bit older. Let's go 15, so GCSE. I've already said that I specialize in history, so get rid of that. Make 4 possible answers for each question and list them A to D. So make sure you give it pretty specific parameters. Make sure the answers are quite similar. So for example, when did England win the World Cup in football? 1966, 2022, 2023, 2025. The kids are obviously going to know that these 3 answers are definitely not right. So try and make them as close as possible and write them for a reading age of 16, because that's when they take GCSEs. Here we go, boom. So we'll send that, see what that does, and it comes up with some pretty decent questions we can just pull across and put into like a Slido or some form of artificial intelligence user or PowerPoint. Okay, so that's one way to save work. Another way is to create slides for useful stuff. So this is called gamma.app. It's free up to 10, and then you have to register with a new email or pay. But what you can do is you can create super quick PowerPoints with this. It's fantastic. So let me just get in there and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's imagine that you've picked up a cover lesson, which you're a substitute teacher for, or one of your colleagues has gone home and you have to suddenly put a lesson together really quickly, or maybe you've just been super busy. You can choose to do a presentation document or a web page. So I'm going to create 10 cards. So I'm going to do a lesson for 10 cards, and I'm going to do it in English. You can change your language there. And what I'm going to do is design me. Sorry, I can't write and type. Design me a slide deck for, as you can probably see, a slide deck for a class who are learning, what should we choose, something different, about coding. They are 12 years of age. Okay, cool. And then it generates the outline. So if you click that, it comes up with kind of these questions, and you can go through and you can customize these, you can change them. This is actually a pretty good one. Some of these are terrible, but variables and data types, loops and iteration, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue and I'm going to choose my theme. And if you're timing this is all under a minute. So I'm just going to go with, what theme should I go with? That one looks quite cool. I'll go with that one. And then generate. And as you can probably see, I use this a fair bit. I just keep changing my email so I don't have to pay for it. And then off we go. So look how quick this is. This is generating some pretty decent looking slides. If you do something like biology, it will chuck in loads of like plant cells and animal cells and pictures, and you can add loads of pictures from the text on the right hand side. And lo and behold, we have now got a slide deck in under a minute. We can present it, we can share it, we can copy it, we can download it, we can use it for our lessons. Please, 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 if you're using this technology, yes, it's impressive. By Al Moore, brilliant. It's actually spelled my name wrong. My name's Alex, not Al, but never mind. Just go through it and make sure it is correct and it is suitable for the year group that you did it with. When I did it with photosynthesis, it was the first time I did it, it was far too advanced. It was like degree level. They were looking at like sort of molecular biology. So just make sure that it is relevant and useful for your audience. So that kind of talks you through some of the more basic stuff. We're going to get a bit creative now. So one of the things I love to do is I love to kind of analyze data. It's so good for this, guys. So if you have to ever analyze data, use these, and I do it all the time in my job. So let's go into here and let's check this prompt in. And this is, I'm going to analyze a large data set. And everything's here. I am a senior leader. I'm just going to leave like that. And everything else is pretty good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take, I've got a document pre-ready here for kids that applied to do a TEDx. And what I want to do is I want to work out kind of what their idea is worth sharing in one sentence. So I'm going to copy and paste this massive data set because this would take me about 45 minutes if I tried to do this any other way. Okay. And I'm just going to chuck this in here. So what do I need to do? Yeah, that's all fine. So I'm just going to copy and paste that into there. Look at all of that data. Look how much there is. It's a huge amount of data. And I'm just going to go like this. And it's going to give me a summary really quickly, like report style that I could use with like the governors or head teachers. And look how concise that is. It's got bullet points. And you need to check, if you're writing in English, you'll notice that the American Z's everything, emphasizing. In Britain, we emphasize with an S. So one of the ways we catch kids plagiarizing is they have loads of Z's in their writing. It's quite a good way to do it. Harder to catch them in America, but in England, we don't use those. We use recognizing that we use S's, not Z's. So that's just an example of how you can summarize data. And maybe you don't like that. Maybe that's too wordy. You could just put refine, more concise. Again, it just kind of narrows it down. And it will do it again for you in much smaller, punchy sentences. So just a fantastic tool. And then I've done loads of this, and I've actually done it the long way. It takes about an hour and a half, maybe. And when I compare it, the outcomes are almost identical, but ChatGPT has got better language than I do. So it's quite a good way to do it. So I'm just going to pause for a sec, guys, and just see if there's any questions before I kind of finish off with a few more creative things. Does anyone want to ask me anything from the panel, or do you?
Thank you, Alex. It's going pretty well. We have one question actually coming from chat. They want to actually get the prompts as a message after the webinar. So everyone actually listening, we will post everything in this webinar in Twin Educator portal. So you will be able to reach to recording of the webinar as well as all the prompts that are shown within. So we will be sharing it at the end of the webinar, and I will also show how you can sign into the Twin Educator portal free of charge. So other than that, I think like all of our participants have been here. They want to hear more because normally in these kind of webinars, you know, like the involvement might actually decrease in time. So everyone is looking forward to hearing more prompts from you, I think, Alex.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's get a little bit more creative then. So what we're going to go into some new territory now. When I talk about AI, I talk about possible futures. So when you start reading around artificial intelligence, kind of at a higher level, you start to come across the idea that particularly children have a deep interest in minds, human and other. And my research kind of confirmed this, and it comes from a line of thought called post-humanism. Now, post-humanism is well documented by the likes of, I mean, there's loads of text on it. Look at this. Look, this is some of the prevalent thinkers in the field. You've got Donna Haraway, for example.
Alex, can you, sorry, Alex, can you stop sharing screen so everyone can see the books better? Maybe you can.
Yeah, stop sharing, yeah?
Yeah, stop sharing screen so that everyone can see it in full screen.
Is that better? Yeah. The light's not great, but this one's called Cyborg Manifesto by Donna Haraway. I highly recommend that as a read. if you want to understand kind of how technology and humans coexist. And this segues nicely into the next bit that I'm talking about. This book is a critical theory on existential risk. Fantastic, because that's obviously a lot about what we're worried about, some of the worries of AI. And this is by Schuster and Woods. Quite an easy read. Actually, it's not an easy read, it's quite small. How We Became Post-Human by Dr. Catherine Hales. I appreciate you can't see these very well, so I'll pop them in the feed at the end. Philosophical Post-Humanism by Rosie Braidotti and Donna Haraway. Post-Human by Rosie Braidotti. Then if you want a book more general about this, this is my favorite book I've ever read. It's hard to see. It is called God, Human, Animal, Machine, and it is absolutely insanely good. And it uses technology as a metaphor for religion, talking about how Christians and everyone believes in salvation and how we see technology as being a salvation to things like climate change. Brilliant, brilliant read. You will literally be glued to it from cover to cover. So that kind of segues into kind of the weird and wonderful and the creative side of AI. And it questions us to start rethinking about what it means to be human in a digital age, as we rethink our curriculums, we rethink how we teach, what we teach. And this comes at a time when our government has just announced that children will do examinations online, on screen, from as early as 2025. So all of those exams that are written on paper are going to go in the future, and the children are going to do them on screen. They're going to do it like we are on a screen here. That's a fact. And in the next decade, we're going to start to see that change. So what does that mean for our children who are already digital natives, if you believe that phrase? They were born with technology. They don't know any different. Well, it means that they got to get creative with technology and they got to start having some fun with it. So that's how we're going to end this session. We're going to have some fun with technology, in AI in particular, and get super creative. So out of all the AIs, Copilot is definitely one of the best for being creative with as a prompt. Okay. So early on, I just popped into Copilot, create me a picture of Albert Einstein. And off it went. And you've probably seen these types of pictures all over your social media. Well, if you teach young children, these are such powerful tools to get them to write loads of stuff. So we do this with virtual reality too. We have boys who don't like to write much. They don't like to physically write with pens. So we put them in VR and we get one on a laptop and the other one tells the other one what they can see, and they write pages and pages and they don't even realize it because they're so absorbed. This kind of has the same effect. So you can get them to create wild and wonderful pictures. So if you haven't used Copilot, have a little play with it, and you can go in here and you can ask it anything. So it acts just like a chatbot as well. But let's say, create me a scientist of the future. Let's see what it comes up with. I will say to you guys, it does fail a lot, this AI. It kind of create me a scientist of the future. It might take some time to move over to new topic. Let's start.
Alex, can you share your screen again?
Oh yeah, sorry, I was getting carried away
worries.
playing on the chat
No
box.
worries. No worries.
Yeah, cool. All right. So my bad. Here we go. I'm in Copilot. So create me a picture, because it likes to do pictures of a scientist of the future. Apologies about my spelling, guys. I need to move that out of the way. And it is a bit temperamental. It does take a bit of time. So generally, if you see a little picture coming up here, this is all looking good. It will take about 30 seconds to a minute to generate it. This is a good sign. This means it's doing its thing, right? And you can use these as prompts and lesson starters to get your kids engaging in conversations. It's just a really different way to do it. And they absolutely love this. There you go. Some cool pictures of scientists of the future. So that's one thing to get kids to do creative writing. The next thing I love to do is I love to create scripts for podcasts, so we can have famous podcast guests from the past. Now, these people could be dead and not exist anymore. So yeah, what we're going to do here is let's talk about our yeah. All right, brilliant. So let's take this one and let's create a script for Albert Einstein, because obviously he's not alive anymore. Okay, so here's 5 interview questions, right? There you go. So there are 5 interview questions that the kids could use. They could write this. Please, could you elaborate on your theory of relativity? And the kids could, what they can do is they can copy and paste that into a document like a Google Doc or a Word document or any other type of document. And then they can create a script. And now what we're going to do is create answers. So this is Albert Einstein's answers now to those questions. And it will just come up with quite a decent, and you can actually, you could put, maybe that's too brief. So create answers with 100 words each, and it will actually do it to, bang on 100 words. So here you go. So Albert Einstein suddenly got a bit more to say in the podcast. And then what we do is we get AI voices with the children's voices stitched together. So the kids will read this question out. So for example, let's imagine that I'm a kid, yeah? And the kid says, can you elaborate, welcome to the podcast, Albert. Can you elaborate on your theory of relativity and how it revolutionized our understanding of space, time, and gravity? And then Albert Einstein, through an app called Speechify, which is just the word speechify, can answer. So, but I'm going to do it just to have a bit of fun. I'm going to do it in the voice of President Barack Obama.
Everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cosmos Unraveled podcast. I'm your host, and with me is my co-host, Host B. Today, we have a very special guest joining us, none other than the legendary physicist, Albert Einstein.
So that was Barack Obama just introducing. So can you imagine how much fun the kids can have with this? And this is, you probably all know who Snoop Doggy Dogg is.
What up, though? It's Big Snoop.
Okay, and we can get Snoop Doggy Dogg to also be on the podcast.
Host A, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cosmos Unraveled podcast.
And the kids absolutely love this. And the AI is doing all the work. Okay, the kids are doing some work too. Of course they are. The teacher's not doing much at all, by the way. And what we do is we just create these podcasts. And this is such a powerful, creative way to use artificial intelligence to get children to learn using this technology in a productive way that benefits their learning. And it's different. It's different to everything else that we've done in a classroom. They're traveling back in history to interview people that have passed away and not here anymore. And they can interview anyone, so that it doesn't have to be Albert Einstein. It could be the suffragettes, or it could be Malcolm X, or it could be any, Marie Curie. It could be anybody from the past. So it's a really exciting way to kind of evoke some pretty cool responses in your classroom. So there's a few kind of exciting ways to jazz up artificial intelligence, to use it to get decent outcomes. Of course, we'll share these prompts at the end. And I was just going to finish by kind of saying, if you're interested in these projects and you can kind of, you want to learn a little bit more about them, I write about all of this stuff on my blog. So I know it's a bit of a shameless plug, but it's a free blog. I don't earn any money from it. And a lot of the stuff I've talked about today is on this Substack, and you can subscribe to this and read a little bit more about it. There's loads of stuff about AI on there. There's loads of stuff about the Ghana project, about the Twin Science project. So if you've got an interest in anything that I've spoken about today, you can dive into that, or you can find me on LinkedIn. But I think time-wise, I don't want to take up any more time, Kiam, as I think that's kind of almost 25 minutes, isn't it?
Oh, you are perfect in time, Alex. Thank you for being punctuational. And we have a couple of questions, and I want to actually maybe discuss some of them with you. And one of our participants, he asked, do AI-generated resources include decent pedagogy? Gamma was just information, but do AI-generated resources include decent pedagogy? He asked. What do you think?
Did you say recent or decent?
Decent.
It's really hit or miss. So the analogy that I've heard used that I love is imagine you had Albert Einstein in your basement, right? So Albert Einstein lived in your house, in your basement. He was in your basement, and you're a kid and you came home and you had a science homework to do. Albert Einstein would do a really good job and you get a really good mark, yeah? But then if you asked him for relationship advice about a girlfriend or a boyfriend, he probably wouldn't be very good at it. And I love that analogy for technology because it really does depend. And like we were just talking before the podcast started, the thing, like ChatGPT had a complete meltdown 2 days ago. If you happen to be on it at 6 o'clock at night, it something happened to it and it started generating like multi-language, like gobbledygook. It invented its own language. So this is not the finished product. It's one of those things, guys, where you've got to just experiment. In my experience, the slide decks that I showed you tend to generate content that is not decent. You have to do a lot of work to tweak it. but the scripts, the retrieval questions, they are pretty good. And I tell you, my favorite thing is to analyze data. I have to do loads of that in my job, and it's so accurate. It is really intuitive at working out what people are saying and lumping it into themes. So they are kind of the decent things that I would say that it does. You probably noticed I haven't spoken about marking tonight, about marking work. And that's because I haven't yet found, I've tried 120 different AIs and I still haven't found one that marks work reliably. It's not out there. And if anyone tells you any different, they're lying to you.
Yeah, we are working on that as well. So about the marking. So I hope we will be able to come up with a structured and useful product for teachers. And another questions, by the way, like about the question on pedagogy, I also we are using it while writing scripts for videos that we are developing in Twin, and we are always checking the resources and the accuracy of them, of course, and the tone of voice, everything around it. And I can say, of course, it is doing pretty good, but you need, of course, teacher observation and teacher editing before introducing it to children. Another question is, one of our participants say, all of these things are a lot of fun, but where is this teaching them original thought, critical thinking? It feels like AI removes the deep thinkers, and that is worrying for society. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a question I hear a lot of, actually. And I think, like, as teachers, we more than ever have got a responsibility to teach kids digital literacy on a level that we've never taught it before. So it's a really good question. And they need to use it as a tool, but not the only tool. So it would sit in a lesson that would take 10 minutes. So you'd use AI with kids for 10 minutes. And then they would do some writing of their own. What do you think about that? Is it right? Is it not right? And quite a lot of the time, to talk to that other question, it generates stuff that's not accurate. So they have to kind of use their own intellect and critical thinking skills to evaluate it. And one of the most powerful things I found is to give students a chance to speak in the lesson to each other about the things that they're generating. And what happens is you get really deep learning about it. So the script one, for example, if you could see one of those lessons, the learning is so deep and profound because they're analyzing kind of what questions to ask. Then they realize that if they don't ask the right question, they won't get the right answer. And they're kind of like a podcast host in a job. So they're actually doing that role. And it's really, really powerful. It's to be used with teachers and with children, not to replace them. So I would never go to a point where you just use it all the time. It's kind of a nice mixture, I suppose. Is a healthy thing, healthy mixture.
My experience was like that as well. And as a user of ChatGPT, as I start using that tool and I become expert on it, actually my imagination starts to grow around this ability, right? So I am able to reach any knowledge in the internet within like just instantly.
Yeah.
And this power actually brings like a different world to me, right? And when I learning about asking questions, which is the first answer to find, like which is the first step to find an answer, then I become more powerful. So I think like children are developing problem-solving skills as they learn how to talk to ChatGPT. Children are learning, developing communication skills as they use ChatGPT more or any other generative AI tool out there. Alex, thank you for your participation. It was lovely to have you. We hope to have you back in one of our CPDs in the future.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So now I will actually answer a couple of more questions, and we are saying goodbye to Alex. And so one of the questions is related to, I would like to do some training at school with my ECTs. Can you recommend any training? So we will continue to have free AI CPDs in a monthly basis. So just check your inbox once in a while and wait for actually the date of the next CPD. So those will be free, and we will also we will have prompts that will make your life easier in every one of them. But we will have keynote speakers like Alex from education space, and we will also have speakers from different universities and technology companies to talk about the philosophy and how AI will affect society in a broader sense. And another question is, do you recommend any AI for planning, an AI planner type of site? So let me share my screen. So at the beginning of the session, we have showed you how you can sign into actually Twin Educator portal. So now I'm going to share my screen. So in chat, my friends are sharing a link with you. So if you copy and paste that link to a Google browser or any browser, you will be directed to Twin Educator platform, and with the promo code AI webinar, you will be able to sign up. So you can actually sign up now with your email address and password and create an account with your Google, Facebook, or Apple accounts. So once you have signed in, you can then check resources in this Twin library. But as I said, we have an AI planner. So maybe from question and answers, if you are curious about any topic, just give me one word, and I will actually, let's say, maybe I want to talk about solar energy, the advantages of solar energy, and I want to talk about this to my sixth graders, let's say, and I click to generate. And as Alex said, it will take like 40 seconds for AI Planner to generate. But let's check the previous lessons I have generated, right? So in here, my lessons, these are all AI generated activities. And I will go, for example, the last one I generated, camouflage in nature. So in here, you will be able to see an introduction, guiding tips that you can use to introduce camouflage to sixth graders, using the analogy of a hidden object game to help students understand how camouflage works in nature, where animals and plants blend in with their environment to avoid detection. So a real life story of this. Oh, sorry, it actually generated the last bit I have, exploring the advantages of solar energy. So let's continue from this. So this introduction, following with guiding tips, and a real life story of Edmund Becquerel. He was a French scientist who, in 1839, discovered the photovoltaic effect. Photovoltaic effect, like when a photon hits to a silicon, it removes its electron, which creates an electrical flow. So I know this because I worked in solar energy before, but it brought me discussions, challenges, some experiments that can be actually applied, questions and answers for evaluation of this lesson plan. The materials are listed, so you will need these materials to conduct the sorry, let's see here again. To conduct the solar oven experiment, right? A cardboard box, an aluminum foil, black construction paper to build a solar oven. And the curriculum alignment of this topic to actually UK is listed. So this tool, AI Planner, is still under development. So as you come here and test it, and you will be able to use this platform free of charge for 3 months. And as you test it, we will make this AI lesson planner more structured, and we will be getting insights from your usage. So this tool, AI lesson planner, will serve a purpose to actually create lesson plans for you around sustainability. And the library that I mentioned, our educator portal, consists of actually pre-developed lesson plans. And in here, you can see video resources as well. So one of our participants asked that, like, is there any AI tool out there for video development? Not there yet, but we are working on that as well. So we will have more robust AI planner within time. But if you want to teach AI to students in classroom, right? So you can use, of course, generative AI tools, but some of the schools are worried because they might not be safe for children they teach. So what we did is we developed these resources along with University College London to make sure that children are learning about machine learning. And in here, we have interactive videos that you can show at the beginning of the class as a hook, as an icebreaker to children, right? What is machine learning? And how actually children can understand this in a deeper level by a simple activity, right? So what is machine learning video is around 3 minutes, and all you need to do is open this in the projector and start by asking these questions to children, students. Do you know what a filter is? And can you tell me what types of filters you know? You can then have this actually tips to create the discussion environment. And once their prior knowledge is activated around AI, then you can play the video. And our animated character in the video does the most of the job for you. Like it gives some interesting knowledge to children in their language, and then it stops at some point and it asks a question to children. Then you are able to facilitate that discussion in classroom setting, right? So, and once the video is finished, you can then jump to a challenge, right? A very simple one that you can make with pen and paper or by using a computer to actually ask students to select two images that appear similar. It might be two animals like cat and dog, and then you can ask them what are the differences and similarities they have. So whenever you are teaching a machine what to do, you are giving differences and similarities. So this library will help you to actually teach about AI to children, and there are many different resources around STEM for sustainability. So thank you for actually following this webinar. I know you want to get the prompts, but there is a survey, so you can, we just share the link in the chat. So we kindly ask you to fill that form for our further webinars, because we are designing these webinars in a way to help you to save time and effort so that you can focus on students learning instead. So please go ahead. It's like 4 question survey, and it will take 1 minute of your time, and it will help us a lot for the upcoming webinars. And just as a reminder, after you complete the survey and sign into Educator Portal, you will be able to see the recording of this webinar. Alex shared a lot of prompts, but due to the time limitation, I was not able to share mine, let's say. But we do have many prompts in our presentation, so you will be able to see the ones that are shared by Alex and many more by clicking prompt cards and presentation, and your certificate will be available waiting for you in Twin Educator Portal. So for the ones who completed the survey, I also thank you. It was a very fruitful one, and we will be having more webinars in partnership with technology companies, and we will be hosting university professors, and also from education space, we will have teachers who are engaged with generative AI tools early, we will have them as role models, and we will listen their experiences. So I thank you to all participants today for giving time, and we are looking forward to seeing you in our upcoming webinars. Thank you all.